you. Welcome back to Shall I Proceed, presenting to you uncomfortable conversations with some amazing women of color I have today. We're going to discuss current events and what's going on in our place in this particular fight. I have with me today Felicia McKnight. She is a compensation specialist manager, senior compensation specialist manager. Geya Williams, former DA and now personal injury attorney. Nikki Brooks, learning management consultant. Chanelle Godfrey, educational coordinator. Natalie Garrett, district coordinator of advanced academics and innovation. Alicia Booker, the first ombudsman at the University of Alabama in Birmingham. Go ahead now, Alicia. Janae Strickland-Nunn, podcaster, educator as well. Did I miss anyone? Is that everyone? Is that all my beautiful sisters? Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for doing this. I wanted to have this discussion with you ladies first, because I know you'll be honest, and I know all of you in some way have felt this differently, the same. We all handle things and approach things differently. So I want to ask all of you initially, like I asked the gentleman last night, when you first heard the news about Breonna Taylor, Aubrey, everything, how did it hit you? Because all of you are mothers, aunts, mentors of young women, young men. So how did it hit you? Nikki, I'll ask you first.
Well, for me, actually, it just hit me. All of it hits me really hard because I've got 3 babies. My and a fur baby right here that is like y'all probably can hear. My sons, my daughter. It made me feel like we're not safe anywhere. And at this point, I think I'm so exhausted that I really, hearing that made me feel like, man, what can I do? I don't know if I necessarily want a revolution or so much more as a renaissance for my kids. How do I protect their psyche in the midst of all of this that's going on? Because I'm starting to be tired of fighting and hoping that there's going to be something different. Just what are the survival skills that I have to teach my kids just in case, so that they're not broken? So that's kind of how it made me feel as a mother. So,
Alicia, how about
just
you?
Devastated by it, actually.
Alicia, me.
You said Felicia or Alicia?
Listen, the names. Alicia, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, since I moved to Sweet Home, Alabama during this pandemic, and I did find a walking trail that is like my place of what I do in the morning to get myself ready to deal with other people's problems. The jogging piece hit me hard because then I didn't feel safe, right? And so I have stopped my morning run out in this area because I had already noticed just there wasn't a lot of us on this trail, and it's in the woods. I mean, we're in the woods. And being from Jamesburg's location as well, that really hit me. So doing the work that I do, dealing with conflict and hearing about it, I already stopped watching the news before this already happened. So for me, it took me to remind myself that this is what I've studied for. I've studied, historical uprisings. My master's, my PhD is all in conflict resolution, and just confirming that none of this is not by chance, that I'm here at this city at this time, dealing with these types of problems. And I feel fortunate that the leadership at UAB are aware. And so when my cases have come in around these topics, I've been able to do good roundabouts with leaders to make them say to people that, hey, you need to be sensitive. So I've had moments where I'm like, okay, calling my nieces, don't be out, go home. And then I've had moments where I'm with myself, like, okay, we're just gonna Uber Eats and stay in this space. And then at work, just being using myself, making sure I'm doing it. But I put myself on a boot camp schedule. I'm going to bed because I can't watch the news. I don't want to be on Instagram because then I get mad. And I have Geya's spirit of Malcolm X. So,
Lord Jesus. Chanelle, how about you?
Sorry, I had to get off of that mute. Yeah, I'm like Nikki. I'm just trying to make it. I'm just trying not to. I think my thing is all about control. I have a control problem. I'm trying to control my environment a lot. And so when I heard the news of Aubrey and Brianna, it was a lot. I do have 2 Black boys. That's
yeah.
So
I love them. Okay. Yes. Just keep going.
Amen.
Okay. Amen.
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 And so,
honey, we had maids run through the thing last night. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Hey, it is what it is. And I think I find myself going back in the past, thinking about conversations that I had with them when they were 10. You know, and the thing is, it's every year. I'm always, every year, literally, and they are 16 and 18 right now. And so at 10, we had the discussion, strategic, things of, strategic ways you can do things when you're out there in the neighborhood, or strategic things you can do when you're in school. And now all of this is going on. It's just a repeated cycle. It's a sickening thing. And the conversations are still the same, except they're older. So I get a little more nervous, but I have to go with God all the time, every time, because if I don't, I'll lose my mind. So I think that's the thing. I'm really strategic with a lot of things that we do and a lot of conversations that we have.
Janae?
So it's just been hard, like everyone says, it's been hard. The news is not watched in my house anymore because it's just too much. I think the first time when I saw Aubrey, when I saw the video on my phone, because I didn't think it was real. You see something, you're like, this, I didn't just watch what I think, and I'm kind of mad that I let that into, my personal, my eye gates. But it's just, it's frustrating. And I have 2 bonus kids, and one is, I have a teenage boy and I have a little girl, she's 11 and she loves everybody. And so it's hard to tell her that, not everybody loves you too, because she has the biggest heart, and no one is going to treat you, you may think kind towards others just because that's, the way you've been taught, but you have to protect yourself because not everybody thinks that way about you. And that's a hard conversation to have with someone so loving and so open. And even with my bonus son, he just, me and his dad talk to him all the time, and we ask him, like, how do you feel now? Like, how are you feeling with this? How does it make you feel? And so, he's taking it, the conversation's been had, like you said, we repeat about being strategic and how to act and all that stuff, but it's getting tiring and frustrating. Like, why do I have to tell you how to act so that you can exist? You have the right to live, and you have the right to act the way you want to act. Even, you might be loud, who cares? If you're not breaking the law, it doesn't matter, but you have a right. And it's hard to tell them that even though you have a right to exist, this is the way you have to exist. That's the hardest thing that's kind of getting me right now.
How about you, Natalie?
So initially with all of this, first of all, I have a 9-year-old and 2 just turned 3-year-olds the other day. And so this conversation at this age is extremely difficult with me knowing about child development and how children develop. With my 9-year-old, I was not ready and prepared to have that conversation with him. But I took it upon myself to go ahead and have it because he's already experienced it, sadly enough. And so although he wasn't aware that he experienced it, I could tell by the experiences that I've had and the reactions that he's had to the experiences that he's had that was what was going on. And so having that conversation with him was extremely hard. And just like Janae said, when your children are loving and they don't look at that, they just love anybody who comes in their presence. And my oldest, he is the type of kid that the moment people meet him, they really like him. And he allows people to come into his space, and he enjoys the time that he spends with others. So for him, after I had the conversation, he said, well, Mom, he said, I'm scared to walk outside. And I was like, don't be scared to walk outside. Be who you are, no matter what. Know that God, no matter what, if mommy's not there, daddy's not there, is there to protect you. And so, like Chanelle said, we have to err on the side of God too, to watch over our children and pray over our children as they go out each and every day. But as a mother, and even talking with my husband about how to have those conversations with our children about how they will proceed through life is very difficult. And, knowing about the history of what we've been through as a people, it's the same conversation we had in slavery. Don't look master in the eye, and children of a young age, babies, having to have that conversation. So I said to myself, if my ancestors could have that conversation earlier than 9 years old, then I could talk to my son at 9 and explain to him those different things. And my 3-year-olds, I haven't talked very much about, because I know developmentally they wouldn't understand. But with the pandemic and everything that's going on, that was a whole nother conversation. Mommy, the playground is closed. I can't go to the playground. Yeah, so just everything that's happening we have to pray for that coverage, for our children as they go out. But also, it's sad that as a community, we have to have that conversation that other races don't have to have. And so that's the injustice in everything, that, we have to do that as a culture, whereas others don't. And that's what we're fighting for. This same with segregation. We didn't want to come to their schools and their different things. We just wanted the same resources that everyone had. And so, all of that is what we're fighting for at this time. But it's very difficult to deal with our children and talk to our children about this conversation.
Felicia.
Yeah, so when I first heard about everything, the Brianna story kind of flew under the, I don't know, some kind of way I missed it until all the talk started with it. But then Ahmaud's death, that was all over the internet. So that's when I really was like, okay, this is like back to back. That one angered me, because you could obviously see these men chasing after someone for no reason whatsoever. And then with the George Floyd, that just like crushed me, because I think for the first time in history, we actually witnessed a person's slow death. Like most of the things we've seen has been by gunshot, so it's kind of instant, but this one was a little more traumatizing to watch. And I only wanted to see the video one time. Whenever a show comes on, if they show the video again, I try my best to like look away. I just don't want that memory, to keep seeing that. It's horrific. But it's some really scary and trying times, and I am a person of faith. And I normally, at this point in life, I normally don't get fearful very easy because of my faith. But I'll say for the first time in a long time, I'm like scared. I have a college student, and she was here. She's about to start a new job, so she's now back in her apartment in her college town, and I can't be there. And for those of you that's known me forever, y'all know I'm very overprotective. And I want to like pack my stuff up and go there just so I can be the watchful eye. But I know I can't. But as a praying mother, I know God is there looking over her. And the other fearful thing for me is the job that she has. She'll be interacting with the public. And so right now, people are not so nice, regardless of what's going on. And so I have a fear of when she interacts with a customer, y'all know I'm want to get in my car and go handle it, but I can't. But I do have that fear of if that type of instance occurs. So for me, it's just trying to stay grounded and stay prayed up, and know that I can't be everywhere at the same time, and just trust that God and his angels are watching over her. Also, I just wanted to add too, it's just a scary time for America in general, because I think it was last weekend when all the rioting and the protesting got pretty heated. And I remember waking up on Saturday morning and turning on the TV. I think Good Morning America or something was on, and it was showing all the different cities, and they were on fire. I had to rub my eyes. It was like I just woke up. Am I seeing what I'm looking at? Like, buildings are on fire. And I was like, it's like a burning hell, and it's literally what's happening right now in America.
All right, G.
Hey y'all. So as most of you know, I have a boy and a girl. And so I've had to have two very different conversations with them. And not just because they're boy and girl, but they just are polar opposites just in general. Zuri, who's 11, she's always been like one of the only Blacks in everything that she does. Cheer, volleyball, school, the school she goes to. And her Black experiences, so to speak, are of course at home and church and family. And then when she is with me doing community service events, but like her closest friends are white. So when we have these conversations, or when she walks into the room and she sees myself and her dad watching the news, or we're engaging in a conversation about what's going on and how angry we are, or tired or afraid, she almost purposely and immediately turns a blind eye to it. Kind of like she automatically feels, and she shared this with me, we're very close, praise God, I hope it stays that way, where she said, Mama, I don't like to hear y'all talk about it because I feel like I can't love Cassie. Cassie's white. And so I had to tell her, you can absolutely love Cassie. We don't hate white people. We hate racism. We hate hatred. That's what we're angry about. We're angry about the hatred, the evil, the racism, classism, and every other ism that is constantly tearing our nation and our people apart and putting us in the ground. It didn't just start, baby. We talk about slavery. We talk about our ancestors. I mean, y'all know me. Alicia said it. I'm Malcolm Farrakhan. I'm still her. So my kids have grown up hearing that sort of language and loving their skin and loving where we come from and that we are African before we are anything. And so she's used to that, but she still doesn't quite grasp it and identify with it as I do, of course, as a 42-year-old woman with a host of experiences and life under my belt. But the only reason why I bring that up is because seeing what's happened to Brianna, George, Ahmaud, and Tamir, and everybody else that it's happened to, and even those that are unknown, that there are no news stories about, it's hard to have those conversations. And then with my son, who is a little Malcolm Farrakhan himself, you know, he's scared. And he actually cried the other night. I made them watch CNN with me. I didn't let them see the video of the murder. I didn't even see the video of the murder on purpose. Like, I refused to watch it. I heard it, and that was enough for me. It rocked me to my core. But just talking to him about what happened, because he's very inquisitive. Mama, what are they talking about? What's that about? Mama, what happened to him? What happened to Mr. Floyd? So I had to tell him. And his eyes like welled up with tears. And like he looked so afraid, but almost kind of like he didn't know what to be afraid of. He just knew that man looks like me and looks like my daddy and my grandpas and my uncles. So something's not right. There's a disconnect, and he asks us about it almost every day. So it's been super tough, and being a mother and being, you know, Black, it's difficult. And so to see it constantly unfold, to see it happen all the time, I can be angry, I can be sad, which I've had both of those emotions, but to be very transparent, I'm almost numb to it. It's happened so many times for years, in so many ways, on so many levels, that it has almost become the norm of how invaluable we are to them. And that's a scary feeling to have, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. I know for me, I have yet to watch the video. I refuse to watch the video because I saw when Aubrey got shot. So when the Floyd situation happened, and I'm getting all of, because let me back up and say this. I feel that we're all, if anyone who looks like us, we're numb to it. We've had situation now in recent, let's just go back to 2018, 19, and now we've had 4 or 5 things happen. Either a police officer has killed one of us or a vigilante citizen has killed someone. But we've had 3 or 4 police situations just right here in Texas. Right here where I live, just last year, or brutality. So I'm so numb to it that my reaction's delayed. But when I heard about Breonna Taylor, I was pissed because I thought about what happened in 2019. The young lady in her house with her nephew playing video games, and the neighbor just doing a wellness check and her door was open. Like, is she okay? And you shoot through the window and kill her. I'm like, so what's going on? This girl gets shot in her bed 8 times. I'm numb to it. Because what's going to happen? It happens. Then they want to dig up negative things about the person, which, how is that relevant? And then you have a young man in his apartment getting killed. You're trying to find all reasons. The information that comes out when it comes to someone of color, when things happen to us, is always doubt. What did you do? What's going on? Let them look like someone who's clear, white, or whatever, and it's always something else. It's never, oh, what's their background? Either what's their wellness? How's their mental health? What's going on? It's never what it is. I'm so numb to it that my reaction's delayed. In the environment that I work in, I can't react how I want to react. I have to think about my nephews, my daddy who can barely has a cane. How he gonna get treated out here in these streets? Your children, who I think are my children. And I'm already thinking, well, they're gonna let them go. I'm defeated. I'm already defeated when it happens. That's where I'm at with it. I'm already defeated because Aubrey people didn't get arrested till 3 months later. Their good friend was the judge and the DA in the town. Only because the video came forth and it had a momentum, something, but what did they do? What's his background? What was he doing? Breonna Taylor, they arrested her boyfriend, he just got out of jail last week. And they still trying to keep charges on him for defending his home. My problem with everything is, like all of you have said many times, we're not valued or respected. We're feared for no reason, no value, no respect. And we're fighting an uphill battle. We're drowning, trying to get some type of justice. And it bothers me and it worries me because I worry about anyone driving traffic stops. I mean, Natalie and I going to Shreveport got stopped for no reason for coming to Zuri's christening for no reason. What you doing out here so long? I mean, what are you talking about? It's just, for me, I'm numb and I'm still numb to it. And I don't know how to react to it because I just worry about the way society is right now. We're very distracted. And the next thing that happens, we get distracted. But the only blessing for me with COVID-19 is we've all been put to sit down and pay attention to where you can't walk away from it. It's everywhere, because you know for a fact if we had regular life going on, this would not be the way it is right now. It wouldn't.
I said, hey, we got time. Oh, we got time now. We got time to be real petty and protest. I'm working from home too.
Yeah.
We got time.
Because I think the energy is coming from the isolation. That's where the energy is coming from. The isolation and not want to be canceled. I don't care what anyone can tell me. All the support we getting from everybody who don't look like us, because they don't want to lose them dollars. It has been the same way for how long? All of a sudden, everybody, every website, every business, we are in support. Man, sit down. You're not supporting us.
Well, I'll tell you this. I told my mom, call, right? And she's like, you see so-and-so's doing this, and so-and-so is, standing with the Black community. I said, Mama, you already know what time it is. If you weren't standing with the Black community before another one of us was murdered, then it doesn't matter. It holds zero weight to me. I don't respect it. I don't support it. I don't think that it's amazing. It doesn't make me feel good. It makes me say what I've already said, which is, you're too late.
It's hard for me to even, I can't acknowledge it. Go ahead, Nikki, I'm sorry.
I went into the beauty supply the other day on Cullen. If anybody's familiar with Cullen in Houston, you know, it's tons of beauty supplies. And I go in the beauty supply and they have Black Lives Matter t-shirts.
Stop.
And I'm like,
it's all about that money.
It's about that dollar.
On several levels, because you got Black Lives Matter t-shirts. Anytime you come in here, y'all have, if somebody took a pair of lashes, you got that picture plastered all over the thing. And you know good and well right now, if you thought I was trying to steal a 99-cent eye pencil, all y'all would jump from over that counter and wrangle me and pin me down until the cops. So now you're selling Black Lives Matter t-shirts. And I think for me, having traveled, to Asia and understanding from work the xenophobia that is so prevalent, and, understanding why a lot of immigrant groups feel the way that they feel towards Black folk. It was actually just offensive. It was like disgusting to me. And I was like, God, leader, you like, where did this come from? You watching me on the camera and you gonna sell me a Black Lives Matter? Bye. So like I had to leave, just like, so it's that for me, it's just been, I'm tired, and there's a level of disgust for me, and I'm trying not to be like, with everything, but on the inside, there's a, it's their turn now to some degree. I do a lot of ally coaching, and which is always interesting and always exhausting, but I am good at it. Thank you, Baytown, for that. I'm sure most of you guys, we've had that.
Baytown has prepared us for so much, right? Okay.
Yes, it has.
I go to Anytown. I know Geya, you went to Anytown. Felicia, we were in the same.
Yes.
Who else went to Anytown? Chanelle, you went to Anytown. So I mean, we have been very prepared, by our upbringing to handle people of other cultures.
Right.
You have to study their shadows just to make it out and survive. And so, but I am exhausted. I am exhausted with it, and just like, to some degree.
What really bothers me too is not only are you fishing for our Black dollar, but you also idolize us. But you can't.
Come on, but you can't stand us.
You can't stand us.
You can't stand it.
Idolize us, and you want to be us. You so much so that you lose the butt fat from your mouth.
You preaching sermon right now. Go on.
You want our lips, our bodies, our face, our music, our flavor, our style.
And especially Black women.
Yeah. But let's discuss that though. Let's talk about that, because the issue, there's whole nother layer. What's our place in all of this? In this whole entire fight, what's our place? Because
tired.
We're tired and exhausted because being a Black woman, not taking anything away from our Black men and what we as collective we go through. I don't think people understand how exhausting it is being a Black woman.
They don't.
I'll say this. I've had people from Baytown, other ombuds. The author of White Fragility spoke at the ombuds conference actually last year. And it's very interesting since we advocate for fair treatment. We serve in a space where we hear and say that's a formal issue versus informal, or we can mediate. And it's very interesting the energy I'm getting where people are like, oh, how are you? And, you know, and I shot back a few emails where I just cut and paste. I was like, this is not new. I've always lived in fear. And you, as a white person reaching out to me, since you are an ally, check yourself.
Yep.
Check yourself. My text went off. My ex-boss, who I had to say, do you not realize I am overqualified and making less than you, and you're up here scared and caught in your own space and not advocating at the table for me.
Yep.
And so when I left, we had that conversation. But I get it's a situation. So you know, Tiffany Gates reached out to me. Y'all know Tiffany and I were best friends, and I said to her, because she was like, "What do I do?" And I said, you know, the difference in our friendship was that you were comfortable coming in all Black spaces with me when we went to church in 3rd Ward, Houston, and you were in the choir stand clapping and you were found joy in that space.
Right.
And when I was the only Black girl in, you know, Pinehurst posse crew, you know, Nat, your mama wouldn't let you go all in these sleepovers and stuff.
Absolutely. I can only.
You were an ally for me, and you made sure I was safe. Because I thought about the Black girl who got killed at the slumber party. How many of us?
The mother.
At a grown adult, sleepover, talking about like they were sport moms or whatever, and she ended up being thrown down.
She ended up face dead.
So
and nobody saying anything.
I've been saying, you know, the ones that think they are cool and are allies, I've been saying, what kind of conversations are you having in your all white spaces? Because that's where the work is.
That's correct.
True.
Because
Go ahead.
where it is. I can't do it.
No,
I can't go in. They're not going to say racial stuff in front of me because they know
I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not. There's a book that came out a few years ago, and it came from a blog. It's called "I Am No Longer Talking to White People About Race."
Nope.
And it's by a British author named Rennie Edo-Lodge, and she's British. And I felt when I read the book and I went and found her blog, I felt it in my spirit. Because
send me that, please.
I will.
Yeah, same. Like, put a link to it.
I will put a link.
Thank you.
Because I felt it in my soul because I am in an environment where there's only 2 women who look like me, myself and someone else, and a young man. And it's very liberal. I work in a very liberal, I'm surrounded by liberals, but they do not understand. You know what I mean? And when all this happened, I felt so tiptoed around in a way. And we don't really have the conversations. It's more so, what will we do? What do we need to put out as librarians? What can we put out? People can. And I told my director, I said, listen, I can't. And I am no longer, and I cannot teach someone who looks like you about what I've gone through. It needs to come from you. And when they get the gist, I can go on back door and hit them with some things.
That's right.
Because when it comes from us, I really firmly believe we are not responsible, and we should no longer, man, woman, or child, who look like us and accepts what we look like and who we are. A whole other conversation. I am no longer going to qualify for you, make you feel good. Because anyone our age and younger, you're not blind to what's going on. So the same way in school we were forced to learn about a history that's not accurate,
Yeah.
And not until
That's
you go to
right.
university, you had to pay for some studies, or you had
Mhm.
parents who taught you, like Don Williams taught Geya,
Mhm.
Don Williams, Natalie
Yeah.
parents, Felicia parents, Nikki's parents. Until you had that,
Mhm.
I'm not going to help you find resources.
No.
That's right.
My job.
Because
That's not
once
our
you do some research,
Google everything.
Yeah.
because what I appreciate
Everything.
with anyone, even with regular, just in classrooms, I couldn't stand people asking questions that weren't relevant. If you listen and pay attention and do some work, then you'll
You'll be great.
ask legitimate questions. Because I don't mind asking legitimate questions, like, because I know you actually looked into it,
Right.
and you have questions because they're not going to understand. Let's keep it real,
Yeah.
they're not.
Yeah.
But don't come at me because they think defensively. Not
Mhm.
all. Not all, but so many.
But majority.
So many of them are waiting to. But
Say.
I don't think. Are you
Yep.
sure? You look
Yep.
like me?
right.
But Lisa, let me tell you this as well. The reason why I think continuing to have these conversations with people that don't look like us, it's never going to be a real conversation.
That's true.
Which is why when Alicia said, what kind of conversations are you having in your white spaces?
Mm-hmm.
Then y'all need to do some collective research.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all need to powwow about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing for you to ask me about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. I don't speak for all Black people.
Yep.
I don't speak for Black men. I'm not a man.
Yep.
Okay. And I don't speak for every single Black woman. My experiences may be very different from, Felicia's experiences, or Lisa or Nikki, or whomever. We have different experiences that we can expound upon. So there's no need for you to come to me to have the Black discussion.
Right.
That's not what I'm here for. That's exhausting too. That's exhausting.
Yeah. I will say this. I don't like having those conversations, but I will check them when they're in their conversations, because where I work, I'm like Arlene, I don't have I'm like, it's three of us at my school, female teachers. They get us confused, which is very ridiculous because we don't look alike. You get what I'm saying?
Very telling.
Yes, it's we do not look alike, but they will mistake us. But I do have when they're in conversations and they start saying they and them and not you, I correct them because you don't know where I've come from. You don't know how I grew up. You have no clue. All you're doing right now is seeing me in this position and you think, oh, she's different from the rest of them. Well, actually, I'm not, and you really don't know. My mom was a teenage mother. So if you want to talk about teenage moms, you talking about me now, right. So I do find ways to check them because it's necessary for them to be checked, because you can tell sometimes they forget that if they get a little comfortable around you, they forget, oh, she is Black. Yeah, I'm Black. I'm blacker than Black and blackety black.
Black.
Right.
On all of your privilege. And I will do it even in front of my students. I'll check you on that too, because you're not going to treat my students any kind of way because they're the small majority, the small minority in the school. You're not going to treat them anyway because of the way they look. Right. We're not going to make these assumptions because my school is in a very well-off area where I teach. It's a very well-off area. So there's no way that you can throw these assumptions and all these things on them because you don't know where they stay. Like they stay with the rest of the students.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So get it straight. That does get exhausting, but I feel good about it. Like I'll be tired for checking folks all the time. I don't care.
Luckily, I haven't had to check anyone where I'm at. I've had to check some people who came in to be in the building and get some things. I've had to. And luckily, I'm supported when I have to do those things. Like I can't. Let me just sit in my office for a second. I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm about to lose all employment. Oh yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I'm still here, and it's hard now. It's hard. I commend you because, I don't know. I'm biting at the bit just in overall life because I'm tired.
It's super hard.
I'm just exhausted.
Yeah.
I can't. We put together a book list that's coming out. We did on our podcast for the books. you know, they was like, what should we put out? What can we put out for people to read? And I said, yeah, y'all should put some books out that y'all can read. I did. And I had to tell myself, now, Lisa, no.
You're still the manager. You got to manage.
Listen. And I said, y'all really should. And so an email came out because she didn't want to force it on anyone to do it, right? And so she says, I really think, because, you know, she really wants some type of stance to happen. And I respect it and I appreciate it. Yeah. And they were all on board. I said, I think we definitely should say something. Y'all really should say something. I kept saying y'all. And then I said to myself, one of the librarians came in and said, do you plan on giving books? No. I said, I'm working on that. I don't know yet. Let me think about it. So I prayed about it. We had an argument, you know what I'm saying? And I said, let me go ahead and put together 3 books, man. Let me hit them with some stuff. And then I said during my podcast, I said, hey, I'm just asking all of you to read whatever we recommend with an open mind and heart, not defensively. Yeah. I said, the only way you're going to be able to accept this information and digest it if you read it with an open heart and mind, not with a defense of get over it. Because if I was raped, you wouldn't tell me to get over it, which they do. If I was abused and have trauma, you wouldn't tell me to get over it, which they do. The society we live in, who do not look like us, want you to get over things all the time when you can't get over things.
Well, that's because people don't like discomfort.
That's true. Well, they're going to be real uncomfortable for a long time.
Nobody wants to be uncomfortable, and people fear what they don't know and what they haven't experienced. And that's why things like that happen in our society, I think.
What did D.L. Hughley say? The worst thing is the imaginated black man. What he says, like, white people imaginate.
The worst place for
worst.
And I think that word uncomfortable is 2 things that y'all said that really strike with me. One about being uncomfortable, because we learn at a very early age that the worst thing to do is make white people uncomfortable, because when they're uncomfortable, they have the freedom and the privilege to act on it, and they punish you. They make sure that you pay. And the thing is that when we pay, sometimes it's something we can't recover from, just because we made them uncomfortable. You find that out in elementary and middle school. Yeah. And so you take that, at least me, you take that into the workplace. There's this how we have to behave and act. And then I think for myself, and actually probably everybody on here, I know for sure all of y'all, and I'm almost certain you, Janae, as well, we fall under that category of that exceptional Negro.
Yeah. The anomaly.
And so because when you're considered exceptional, then there's a level of comfort that they have with you, because you're not like them.
You're not like the rest
you're
of them.
They're amazing. Like, oh my gosh, and so they, the comfort that they have, they get open. They do become more of themselves, and then they want to lean on you for that. And just being an exceptional person is exhausting. Being the black friend is exhausting. And so all of it is just exhausting, and it's really not. It's not freedom. It's a form of oppression.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to talk around you and make sure you're not uncomfortable. You're gonna Karen me at work. But the problem is that when you Central Park Amy me at work, it's never just a phone call or an email.
Yeah.
I'll be subjected to the next 18 months of you BS and things around email.
That's true.
And it's saying that, and you gaslighting the heck out of everything. And then it's like, okay, it's so much easier for me to just, let me suck it up and make you comfortable. And when I get home, I'll have a glass of wine tonight. Screw that. I don't have time for that fight.
That double.
That's that slave mentality as well, I think. Because if you think about it, as slaves, what were we taught to do? Be quiet, don't say nothing, do your chores, do everything you're supposed to do, keep your head down.
Because the
We don't
consequences
wanna
were
interrupt
real.
their conversations. We don't want to, be visible in the room full of them. Well, that's the same thing at work. You're absolutely right. Or even as kids, even for me, my mama is crazy. And y'all know this.
Yes.
And I say it with love.
Yes.
Okay? But when she said, don't you act a fool in public and don't you go out there embarrassing me, we all know what that's code for.
Yeah.
That's code for don't embarrass me in front of anybody, but especially them.
That's true.
So what do we have to do? We have to make ourselves smaller. We have to make ourselves more quiet. And we have to get along to get along,
That's
right?
True.
And even in the workplace, it's like you want to say something, but all of our minds think 25 steps ahead. So you already know in a moment when you want to check somebody and you want to let them know that, hey, that's not the right move. Yeah. You automatically go 25 steps to say, if I do that, if I say what I want to say, if I respond the way I want to respond, it's going to result in
this, and this. Yep.
And it's going to all backfire on me. I know I deal with that all the time at my job. I'll give y'all a very, very quick example. A part of my job is when I get a new file, I have to go through it and make contact with the client, and we're over the phone, right? So they don't know what I look like unless they've Googled me on the website, which people don't normally do that. So when I call them, they know that they're talking to a woman, but they don't know what I look like, okay? Just this week, day before I called a new client and I asked her, tell me what happened in the collision. So she tells me, and she says, it's clearly not my fault, but the police, and I can see this lady. I have a picture of her because I have her file, right? Yeah. I see a picture of her license. So I know that she is a white lady. She says to me on the telephone, I know it wasn't my fault. I don't know why the police officers were mistreating me. They act like it was my fault for the wreck, but I'll tell you why. And I said, why do you think so? Why do you think that they were mistreating you? Because of all these protests going on. And the guy that hit me was black.
Wow. Listen, Geya, pause for a second. Geya, pause, because that Jackie Marie came out of you right there. That Jackie Marie came out of you right there.
Yeah, I was like, my jaw got tight. I was like,
put you on hold.
What was that?
Can you please hold for a second?
I wanted to hear it again. I wanted to make sure I didn't get it wrong, right? So I was like, now what happened? She told me again. And I said,
comfortable.
So that's why you think that you were mistreated. I said, interesting. And I moved on. Because had I said what I really wanted to say and express how I really felt, I wouldn't have a job right now. And I recognize that.
Yeah, that's why I told you need to be an ombudsman, because I get to say
that. Well, we've already discussed my next career path. You got me, though. I got a good example, so we're good.
Learn all the same causes.
The same.
That's right.
Yeah, you learn
to say, well, interesting. You should feel that way, because they don't know. They don't know when they call, but that's that's how it is.
So I like that you brought that up, because let's discuss the Karens and the Beckys and the Amy Coopers.
It gets stuck in my throat because I want to say so many obscenities, so many things.
Ooh, yes, Lord.
And every time I see one of them call, I'm like, I wish I was there, because I'll give her a reason to call for real.
Lord.
That's the way I feel.
I feel I try really hard not to separate the men and women, but being women of color, the battle's is something different. Because we're natural protectors and caterers and nurturers. I mean, we're mothers. We, no matter if you give birth or not, we're mothers. We take care of and we protect. And when Amy Cooper was choking her dog and calling the cops with an Oscar-winning performance, that he's attacking me. She said, "Black man, it's a black man." I'm like,
And when she didn't get the reaction she wanted, she said it again at a heightened level. Like she said it even more, like she put more into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. To get more out of it.
I need you to know, because he's Black, it's a threatening situation.
Yeah.
Y'all need to get here right now.
And see, my thing is, these Amy's and Becky's are the same ones who are leading probably women's rights movements and Me Too's that didn't even belong to them in the first place. They have this entitled mentality, you know, and they want to take down everything. Just so when you hear these things happen, and we've all probably been Amy'd in some kind of way.
Absolutely.
How do you feel when that happens, and how do we as women of color educate in the safest way possible these women?
Keyword safe. Keyword safe.
How do we not blow our top and lose our cool with these women who historically have suppressed and kept us down, from our hair having to be wrapped legally because they're getting mistreated by their husbands? They want to mistreat us. You know, I just want to know, how do we as women of color navigate that part of this fight? The women who have this entitlement. And when Amy Cooper came out, I said, I bet you anything, whoever she works for, she had to fight for a position, and she feels she has to keep fighting people. And she has some kind of power, and she forget when she clock out, this ain't work.
It ain't the same thing.
Right.
You know, they're the most dangerous people on this earth. I don't care anybody say white women are dangerous.
They are. I mean, history has shown that they are dangerous.
I mean, that's right. Emmett Till. That was Emmett Till.
Yeah, Emmett Till.
That was Emmett Till on a lower level. That was Emmett Till. That's all that was.
It brought up all of that.
You, as a Black man, tell me what to do?
Yeah.
How dare you speak to me? How dare you even approach me? How dare you even look at me? And then you want to assert corrective action? Oh, hell no. You can't
tell me I'm wrong.
And you have to tell
me I'm wrong.
And you know, you have to pay, and I need you to be put in your place, and I need you to know that I'm putting you in your place. And I'm going to stick around to make sure that
so
there's follow through on it. You know, make sure the task has been completed. So, yeah, they probably wreak the most havoc in the workplace, in my opinion.
And not just us of color, though. Like, no one is safe from Amy Cooper. No one is safe. You got people in jail behind them Becky's and Amy's. Behind a lie.
When I saw,
and that's why I love this.
Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, that's what I love, and what drove me to this even career field of conflict resolution. Because you know, when I thought about law, I was like, conflict is too far gone by the time we get an attorney. And I wanted to teach, and I have the opportunity to teach young Black people and people in problems before it gets there. I mean, I tell them all the time, you can record. They get you in these private meetings, start saying stuff, build your case. They want to keep you out of your program after using up your grant money, making you do free labor, intern stuff. No, build it up. So when we do go on the other side of formal, your case is strong. Because I think, you know, I think just us coming from Baytown, not being fearful of Becky and Karen, when I go to workplace and I see them cut up, my attitude is like, oh, you think you about to punk me? You think you about to pull me? And that's where corporate confidence came from. I'm so cool and confident, baby. I don't need this job. You don't know. I don't need this job like you need this job.
Right.
I'm intentional. We good. I know how to be cool, and I have loved doing this work because I coach them. Baby, this is chest. Conflict resolution, and this is what's going to help you. Don't leave until you're ready. Let me coach you. Don't let them trigger you.
Right.
They do things intentionally. They say little shit. Man, sorry, not but they do stuff just to trigger you. And you can be mindful and emotionally intelligent enough to not play to. Oh, okay. Well, and then they look stupid. I always say when people respond hysterical, it's historical, and it don't have nothing to do with you.
And I was gonna say for my for the profession I'm in, I work in human resources. I deal with a lot of entitled people all the time. You know, I've been at the employer for 12 years. There's names of people I know, they're embedded in my brain because when I see your name pop up in an email or my phone rings, I'm like, oh, here we go again. And it's like, we always have to be 5 steps ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing I can say about the group of women here. We're all grounded. So you're not going to move us very easily. We're not easily shaken. So when we see it coming, we already ready because we have been there and done that. And I think that's the difference in how, you know, trying to handle the Karens and the Beckys and the entitled people is like, I'm not budging. I'm here for a reason, doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And you're not going to make me change the way I'm doing things.
Right.
If you have a problem with it, welcome to go somewhere else or take it up with somebody else. But it's not going to work here, not today, professionally.
Chanelle, you've been real quiet.
Yes, I'm not on mute, am I? Can y'all hear me? No, I'm just enjoying the conversation. I'm one of those people, I like to really listen and allow it to marinate. It was some things I kind of wanted to, you know, do one of these numbers like double dutch, but I said, you know what, it's not for me to get in there right now. It's just, I just need to, you know, listen. But I was thinking like when Nikki was bringing up, like and I hate guys when we talk about like Emmett Till, that's something that it does something to me. When we talk about Emmett Till, I said, you know, and it connects with, you know, what they did with Mr. Floyd. It's like, you know, they say, you know, we're going to show you. We're going to show you what you did. This is what you did. And people, what gets me in my heart is people are sick. People are sick about what we did. They're sick about him having a golden casket. They're sick about him being inside that, what was that, like a chariot or something like that with the horse. They're sick over that. And I said, well, look at you. Wow. What's the problem? They were sick about J.J. Watt. Oh, I'm going to dismiss J.J. Watt. They're letting Mr. Floyd get all the glory. I'm like, all the glory?
What glory?
Right. Really?
Right. He's in the casket right now. So
they're trying to put JJ in his place for going. They're trying to put people in their place. Know your place.
I said, you know what? I'm turning off the news. I had to turn it off. I mean, I told Lisa before we got started, I said, I was on the TLC channel because that's less stress for me. I'd rather watch the quintuplets, the 15 tuplets or whatever, how many kids, you know, because my mind, I still have to be me. You know, I still have to love my boys. I still have to pray for my mom.
Right.
Jesus. I still have to, you know, love them, and I have to, you know, be there for them. My husband, I have to be there for them. I ain't got time. You know, and I'm like, Nikki, I'm tired. I don't have time I don't have time to really, it's not for me to do. All I can do is pray for you, and I have to move forward. But I did want to share something with you guys. I don't know if y'all have had a discussion with any, like in-depth discussions with any of your white associates, white friends, like literally a back and forth. I don't know if anybody has had. I've had it. I've just recently, well, my friend, he went to school with us. I'm not gonna say his name, but he went to school with us. He was my brother's best man. So this is how close we all are. And he, of course, because of his skin color, they have no clue. He has no clue of the struggle. He wanted to just, as soon as I brought up anything like, you know, I just want people to be empathetic. That's it. I just need you to, I'm human. That's all I am. I'm Black, but I'm still a human being. And I need for you to treat me like a human being.
Right.
I have the right to do whatever the hell I'm doing just like you. So in saying all of that, you know, he was like, oh, I got brutal. I got pulled over. That cop was mean to me. You know, I said, okay, cop was mean to you. What happened? You know, so we went to that conversation. Well, he was just very ugly. And I was like, I say, but see how you express that? You don't really have any trauma behind that.
Right.
So you're okay. I said, you know, I think I can remember I was driving through Barrett Station. this cop was coming out of this neighborhood. She kept rolling in the main street. She almost hit me. Because what normal people do, they honk their horns trying to get their attention to say, hey, you almost hit me, boo. You know what you're doing? So I honk my horn really loudly. This heifer pulls out and pulls me over. Just, I guess, because how dare her, how dare she honks her horn. Yeah. When she gets out the car, she's asking me all these questions, wondering why am I had nothing to do why she pulled me over. Yeah. I didn't know she pulled me over for my horn until I asked her, because she was asking so many questions. I was like, excuse me, why did you pull me over? And she said a really some long description of this horn.
Of nothing.
You how did she say it? You illegally used your noise device or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And I said, ma'am, you almost hit me, and I didn't know if you were paying attention, and so I just honked my horn several times because you were literally rolling out, and you have a grill, you have a grill in front of your car, so your grill's gonna reach that road before your car, and it's gonna tear up my car. I'm just trying to keep us safe. I didn't go all there with her, but I just basically told her this is what's happening. She sat there and yelled at me, full of lies. You just think you bad. You think you this and that. She just was on me. I had to been about 25 when that happened, but she just was like just upset that I had the audacity to honk my horn. And I was so angry about it because she wouldn't let it go. She kept tearing into me. I told my friend this story, and I said, "Do you see the difference between our stories?" And it's just one story. I'm not telling you all these experiences that I've had as a Black person. Not only me, all of our Black people have had. I think like President Obama. I don't know if I could have been in his shoes. Right. President Obama, and we don't even know half the story.
True. That
man, they were sick to their stomachs, just like with anything that we're doing. Oh, he can't be he's Black. Are you serious? He's the president of the United States. Oh, that'll never happen again. That's the kind of stuff I heard in my ear, and I told him that. He was shocked. I said, but see, you're the one. You're not willing to cross the other side with me. You want to stay on your side. You don't want to come together. You want to be in your little comfort zone. Nothing in this world is comfortable, especially if you want to reach the top, or you want to, just do things and make a life and change. You have to be uncomfortable sometimes. They don't want to go there. So guess what? I'm like this. I ain't got time for that.
They don't know what discomfort is, though.
No.
Not with us.
Not with us. They don't understand what that is, where we have to dim who we are just to get ahead, or you want to get moved up a class from regular to honors to AP, and it gets questioned like, are you sure?
Why are you here?
My grades show. What are you talking about?
Or we should lower the standards.
Lower the standards, or you're putting somewhere because of we're trying to fill a quota.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They don't understand that, but that goes back to, I think Geya said it, Nikki said it, and Janae said it. Are you having those conversations? No, Alicia, are you having those conversations in your white environment? Because if you have a Black friend and you being real, and they're comfortable with you, you're comfortable with them, how are you not seeing when your Black friend's driving and you're in the passenger seat and you get stopped, how you get treated?
Yeah.
How that white person can talk mad shit next to you to the cop and nothing happened to them. Nothing. We get pulled out, put your hands on the hood. What are you doing here? Why are you driving that car? Where do you work? What are you doing here? Should you be here?
Hello.
I got asked that question and I was pulled over, and then I asked him, I was like, so he said, so why do you drive this car? I said, what are you talking about? Like, and he was like, well, I pulled you over because your tint is too dark. I said, no, it's not. My tint isn't too dark. I've had this car for 2 years. What are you saying? He was like, well, in this neighborhood, we've had some issues. I said, I live in this neighborhood. What are you talking about? Like, there have been no issues. I know, you have that little neighborhood app that tells you what's, I was like, there have been no issues. So why are you pulling me over and questioning me? Well, ma'am, I'm just trying to make sure your neighborhood's safe. Not if you're harassing me over this tent that you're saying is too dark and it's not.
Right.
What are you really doing?
It's like, why tent, really?
Well, your tent, it's not that your tent is too dark. You're dark.
You're dark.
That's
You're
right
too dark.
there. I'm dark.
Because he clearly can see you through the tent to stop you.
Yeah.
So
But what
Well,
bothers me the most for
here's what I
us, though, as
learned.
women of color, the other stigma that even our own men, some of them, I will say some, I don't want anybody coming for me, put onto us is we're too this, we're too that, we're too much.
No, they want us to be feminine, but also be masculine and strong and protect them. They've lost their masculinity, but that's a whole
Another
no.
discussion. That's something else.
I'm gonna need
Good.
you.
My dog is really going crazy, y'all. Sorry. What I learned in allied coaching is one thing that helps uncover where their bias is. Two things. Number one, in corporate, when you ask people, have you read Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg? Yeah, everybody loves Lean In. Oh, I see it. They can understand the plight of women in Lean In. Well, Black folk, we the women in Lean In corporate.
Yeah.
If you can understand that, you can understand us.
That's
if
right.
you can't understand it, that's because there's a bias there that prevents you from making us be able to relate to the two things. The second analogy that I've found is very powerful in uncovering bias. And again, I don't recommend necessarily doing that because it is some very heavy lifting, trying to assist people that think they're ally ready. But the other analogy I give is like, let's say that there's a man who's married to a woman. They've been married 30 years. She leaves him for someone else. And he's like, and when they go to counseling, she's like, you don't love me. He says, what do you mean I don't love you? I bought you a washer and dryer. I bought you this and that. She's like, I got 3 degrees and shut my business down. He's like, I took care of you. And so it's a couple things there. And can stay married to that woman who is unhappy and he thinks he's doing a great job. That's a privilege because he ain't got no consequences of making her unhappy. Number two, if he finds out that she's unhappy, he's going to have to adjust who he is in order to, if he's trying to put his relationship back together. And then the third thing is, let's say that man has a healthy relationship and a healthy marriage. A husband may never understand what his wife is going through because he can't relate, but at the least he will validate it. And then he will turn around and adjust his behavior just because he respects her pain.
Correct.
So and people tend to understand that analogy. And here's the thing. If you cannot understand that we the woman in that situation and that your options are you can ignore it, you can try to work through it, or you can at the very least say, even though I don't understand it, I'm going to validate it, respect it, and then adjust my behavior accordingly because I respect you. If you can do that, then you're ready. If you can't do that, you ain't ready, and that's your bias. And so that's your don't come to me with no, I ain't racist. No, you got it in you. You need to confront that bias because if I were the woman in this situation, if Black folk were the woman, you'd have no problem with anything that we're saying right now. So, that's a thing that I use as to really determine whether or not how deep I want to go with somebody, because at the same time, I don't want to subject myself to that level of emotional and intellectual bias. Violence. I call it intellectual and emotional violence. I don't want to subject myself to that. I want to do some work that's going to be important, and I can handle when people push back, but I'm just saying that helps me dig to people's actual bias and, help them uncover it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So I want to ask one more question. Equality and justice. How do we, with everything going on, what does that look like? What do we have to do? Because like many of you said, the momentum right now is there. It's in your face. We've gone on 2 weeks now and it's still present. So, okay, they're still paying attention. What do you think we need to do? We can't be tired. We can't be exhausted. We can't, even though we are, if too many of us are exhausted, it's not going to keep moving forward. We need to keep pushing. So what do we do to get just justice and equality in all of this?
First and foremost, vote, not just in a presidential election, but in your local government elections. And when you're voting, don't just vote straight ticket. Become knowledgeable in the candidates who are running for certain offices, because a lot of people get confused and they think it's the president's job to take care of what's happening in your city. And that's not the president's job. That's your local government officials, your city council, your mayors, all of that. So that's what I think, as we are, we're protesting, and we see, in Houston, it was 60,000 on last week who were protesting. We need to make sure all 60,000 who are eligible to vote can vote and are registered to vote, and they know what they need to do. So, and the people who are telling other Black folks not to vote, they can go to hell, because it's foolishness to say that your vote doesn't count. Your vote doesn't count when you don't participate. That's when your vote doesn't count. So that's what I think first and foremost should be our immediate action, is making sure people are knowledgeable and they're voting.
Chanelle?
I was actually going to ask a question.
Go ahead.
To piggyback what she said, like, okay, well, what are some things that we could do, or words that we could say to encourage those who are actually being negative about the voting? Like, if they're, if you hear that don't vote, what's the language that we're going to, be able to use to motivate them?
I would say nothing changes if nothing changes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you've been of the mindset that voting, your vote doesn't count, that you are voiceless, like you're invisible. Well, that's the mindset you've always had, and things have not been going your way. So then you need to change to make something different, to have a different outcome. Maybe your voice can perpetuate change. That's what I would say. I've had people in my family say that. Mm-hmm. I don't vote. I don't believe in that. That's ignorant. And I'm going to tell you all the reasons why it's ignorant. And you need to be of a different mindset. Mm-hmm. We do not have time for that anymore. Those days are long gone, as you can see. And if you don't, then these public lynchings, because that's what they are, will continue to happen.
Felicia?
I was going to say what Janae said. One of the things is to continue to vote, because that's also our way of having our voice heard. I do hear a lot of people say, I don't like any of the candidates, but the thing is, you still need to vote. Mm-hmm. You might not like candidate A and you might not like candidate B. Yeah. The way I look at it is, what if you're dying? Candidate A has a pint of blood. Candidate B has a half a pint of blood. Are you going to choose to die, or are you just going to pick one of them with some blood to save your life? Right. And which one has the most blood that can save your life? Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing when you're struggling trying to figure out who to vote for. It is hard. I've struggled too. And y'all know I'm very analytical. It's like, I don't like these people either, but I need to put a checkbox by one of them.
Right.
Otherwise, if I don't, and the person I really, really, really didn't like wins, that's on me. Because what if my checkbox could have helped the situation? Mm-hmm. We don't know. And the same thing about the candidates, like, I can speak for us in Baytown. They have all these different people running for things, the council people. We're not a very big city, but we're growing. But you can always read about it in the Baytown Sun to do your research, because there's usually election editions. And in the city of Houston, I know the Chronicle usually does something for all the different counties as well. So there's a way to read up and study. You can't always rely on the media, because that can be biased as well. So you have to do your own research to pick the candidates that you want. And so I feel like that's a start there.
Alicia?
It's my bedtime, so y'all say I got my blanket out of curl up over here. I feel like, it just starts with wherever we are. Mm-hmm. I know that so thinking about all of this, I have recently, just with all this that's been happening, had conversation with my parents, even about people I didn't know felt the way they did. Just growing up in Pinehurst, I was just in Baytown. Mm-hmm. And the different narratives that my father experienced at Chevron, I just didn't know. So just following that piece of, we are at different tables, we are in different positions, and we will get tired and feel burnt out if we continue to try to go to this march. Okay, I'm gonna attend this protest, I'm gonna attend this Zoom. Like, just be in our own, being present in the moment, being aware of self, and trying to those who are trying to listen, who are trying, just using the platforms that we have. Lisa using her platform, and just working in the spaces that we are already in to let people know when they stepped out of line, or when they are showing, using those framing and perspective and using all that, how do you think that make me feel, or having those kinds of conversations? Because I think a lot of call out culture is very much where we are with social media, and people want to blast people, but shifting to a call in space with people and saying, hey, let me talk to you. Are you aware of how that sounded? Are you aware of that? Especially with folks who have some respect for us as people of color, because it is something that we know historically is just, it's work. We're tired. Our parents are tired. We've been doing this. So just trying to be intentional with our words, with our actions, with our friendships, and how we live, and be using that space. That's all I can do, because, it is work. It's tiring.
Natalie?
I was just trying to think of my response, and I'm not that approachable person. I'm kind of crazy. They already know it. So Karen don't mess with me. So, and when y'all figure out a solution to that, because I'm not there yet, I go off on her and her mama and daddy.
Yes, we know that.
We could be good friends, because I do the same thing. It's great.
Oh, the bonding. Okay.
The body. So I think I have one word. And pray. But honestly, because, and yes, vote and fight and do what you have to do and have those conversations. But at the end of the day, I have come to the conclusion that I literally have to lean on a different source.
Yeah.
Because the Natalie can't deal. Like, if you come in here, I'm coming for you. In most environments, the professional way, the ghetto way, I will do it all. Okay, so but so I literally have to lean on a different source, and that's been in my parenting, in my work relationships, in my friendships, in various environments. Like, literally, sometimes I have to go home, and when we're trying to not, because I don't worry about their comfort level. They took that all out of me. I don't worry about it. I don't even move on the aisle in Walmart. You gonna move to the other side? I don't move.
That one,
so,
right?
Sorry, I'm just that kind of, but so that's been mine. At the end of the day, when I'm heated and I'm hot and I can't express it, I can't get it out, I just have to give it to God and just say, God, please take it from me, take this burden and let me deal with it. Just the same way as our ancestors did, they turned to just a different source. I would have to say, continue to fight, vote, do what you need to do, express yourself. Don't feel bad for being who you are and whose you are.
Right.
And on him. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
All right, G.
I think, well, I just want to say one thing, and I'm gonna answer your question. It's super quick. When it comes to voting and becoming educated about the candidates, that's beautiful. That's amazing. And it's a good thing to do. But I don't care if Daffy Duck's name was on the ballot.
Say it.
As long as it's not 45,
say it.
That's who you vote for. Okay? That's my advice about that. But that's not what we talk. We've moved on. I digress a little bit. You're not to pray for me. Okay.
Yes.
But okay, let me get back to the question.
That was facts. That was facts.
At least get back.
So you said, what can we do? This is my suggestion. have the replace conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The replace conversation is this. When you're talking to other folk that seem or to pretend to not understand or pretend to act like they want to understand, whatever category they might be in, you have to be able to say to them, check this out. There have been murders of every kind of Black person there is. Slaves,
Mm-hmm.
pastors,
Mm-hmm.
fathers, mothers, children, drug dealers, Ivy League graduates, the whole gambit, okay? Dr. King's been assassinated, Malcolm X has been assassinated, Emmett Till, you name it. It's been the whole gambit of Black people, okay?
Right.
Across the board. Everybody that's been murdered, and I keep saying murdered because that's what it is. There's no other word for it, okay? So every single person that's been murdered is not a person with a criminal history.
Nope.
Is not a person with a grill.
Nope.
Is not a person that is not as articulate as we are on this call. So let's just completely erase that idea that you have, that imaginated Black man, as you said, Alicia. Let's erase that, okay? And say, look at me. I'm Brianna. All day, every day.
Yep.
My husband, he's the man in the park, bird watching. So when you're trying to understand the plight, think about if this news story was about Carlos.
Yeah.
Think about if it were me.
Yep.
Or if it were Zuri.
Yep.
I'm not different. You think I'm different.
But I'm not.
Because I may have this degree or work here, which don't mean nothing to God anyway. So it don't really carry that much weight in the real world. What's really important, I should say. But don't think of those people as those people. Think of them as me.
Yeah.
And when you think of them as me, that alone, if you care about me the way you say you do, friend, the way you say you do, colleague,
right?
If you see me, if you replace my face, hold on, that's Don Melvin calling. Hold on, we got to call him back. All right. If you replace my face with Brianna's face, or if you replace Ahmad's face with my brother Jordan's face, or my godfather Brent's face, then maybe you'll see it differently, and maybe you'll understand. So when we are as intelligent women in our circles and with our spaces and our jobs and our platform, that's the conversation that you should have. So when no one at my job has asked me a damn thing, because they already know what time it is, they're not going to ask me. I've made it very clear without being asked where I stand on it. Okay. So they already know that. So no one's asking me anything. But if they were to dare to ask me anything about it, I would say, anybody that you're about to ask me about that's been murdered, that's been talked about on the news, don't say their name. Don't say Tamir. Don't say George. Don't say Brianna. Don't say Emma. Say Geya. Ask me about Geya.
Yep.
Good.
And I bet you that will change the conversation. And maybe, or we would hope, would make them think of it a different way.
Yeah.
Nikki?
For me, what do I think it will take for equality and justice, and what we should have to do? I think, in all honesty, shooting straight, I believe that it's two things. It takes white people using their privilege as the power that it is to speak up in rooms. They're the ones who can change what happens in corporate, which is where at work, where we get a lot of our stress from. They're the ones who can get behind things and put true resource behind stuff that can make it change. So we do need people that understand that we need them to build on this momentum and not let it die. That's the first thing that I feel we need. Because if we could have changed it alone, it'd have been done by now.
Yep.
Been good for centuries, for forever. So the second thing I think that would actually take true equality, which is probably a whole different conversation, is reparations. I do believe that the checks have to get cut in some way, form, or another. Now, if you want to get
my money, all of it.
My family's from Mississippi and actually have several stories for both of my grandparents where the Klan basically caused them to have to start over and they lost resources. I've been with my grandfather when he was going down to the USDA office in Jackson, trying to get into, he had a farm, so trying to, and he was a contractor, so trying to get out of the farmer's market and into the actual agriculture supply chain. And then tell them, "Nah, Miss Albert, now you know I don't want you, that stuff confusing, I don't want you getting in trouble," all of that stuff. As if my grandfather was not the intelligent man that he was, the deflection to keep him out of that. So I think that the check is important, whether you want to start around it. Don't ask me what I'm doing with my money because my grandfather is fabulous when I get that check. So don't worry about that. I will make sure we financially free, but I'm up here in the process because it's long overdue. And then I think that third thing for us, because we are tired, I think safe spaces like this are very important. I think we have to be intentional about it because I think we don't always connect the way we're supposed to because we're so accustomed to having to silo to keep ourselves together. I think connection is important. And then, of course, all the things that you ladies said, voting, staying engaged and involved. And then, but, again, connection, self-care, whatever that looks like to keep yourself sane in this process and not overloaded. Excuse me. I think that that's kind of what it's gonna take. And I don't know if I'm, in all honesty, I don't know how hopeful I am with that, but I do believe that that's what it's gonna take. So yeah.
For me, and I want to say I thank all of you for your response, and I really appreciate it. I know Alicia's past your bedtime, so but I think for me, it goes to, we have to remain loud and purposeful with what we do and make sure people understand it's not about Mr. Floyd. It's not about Breonna. It's about what was happening to human beings. That they were human beings. No matter what, your life has purpose. And people's lives were taken. And that's just one small nugget of what we're trying to fight for. We have to remember as a people, let's stop disrespecting those who came before us, because we're able to raise our voices and walk how we walk and talk how we talk and work how we work because the sacrifices they made for us. We have a mentality about ourselves that is not originally belonging to us, that get out, succeed and get out, forget. Succeed, get out, forget about me. I'm sacrificing this so you can have better. We have those conversations in our homes even till this day. I'm doing what I'm doing so you can have better, my child, my niece, my nephew. We have to stop, stand our ground, and realize this battle is only the battle, not the entire war. And we have to keep respecting that people who came before us walked, marched, starved themselves, went without, broke the dollar bill, took the money out of their pockets. And we can't disrespect anyone who came before us because, like we said, we don't know what they had to go through. I'm telling you right now, none of us on this call or anyone that I've ever talked to can go and be planted back in 1940, 50, 60. You will be dead.
I'm dead.
I'm dead. I'm dead or in a different country. I'm not.
We're not surviving. We're not surviving.
First, but then I'm dying next.
We're not surviving. So we have to, as a people, not get distracted, focus our conversation on what's important, get back to loving each other and stop disrespecting each other. It's not about who you pray to or what you eat or what you don't do. That's not even the battle. But we keep fighting about nonsense that doesn't make any sense.
We have to collaborate. We have to. I shared something on Instagram and another girl shared it on Facebook and added her 2 cents about being elite and Black. And, and I said, she took it and ran another way about, I worked really hard and had all these battles. But for me, I love all my sisters, especially those who have already branded themselves to be loud and radical, because then we can strategize on loud and radical and calm and cool. We can work together. But if we try to divide ourselves, you know, when people talk about Delta and AKA and all these colorism, no, honey, we're going to collaborate behind closed doors. So when we go in the boardroom, you go call them out. And I'm going to be like, well, you know, she does have some valid points there. Because I'm going to put my points on. You know what I'm saying? And using that energy as opposed to us. And that's what they used to do. My dad told me all kinds of stories of, okay, well, we already know they radical. But we're going to go collaborate. And that's why they killed Malcolm and Martin. Because they were getting together and saying, well, you go be radical and I'm going to go be calm. And either way, they not downloading our message. We tried to be calm. Kaepernick tried to tell them.
Right.
Try to.
So,
we gonna deal with those other ones later, because I've been trying not to say her name on this call, but they're Candace Owens.
She could go to hell.
No.
She can go to
hell. Podcast.
No, I can't.
She can go.
Guess what? I see Candace in my rearview camera on my truck. I just envision her being behind me when I'm in reverse.
I can't.
That's not good.
I can't.
I know that, and the Lord is working with me. But that's what I envision.
But this is the thing, though. I can't. It's not even in my spirit. I cannot. I don't even want to give. I don't want to give her the energy, because let me tell you something. Trauma and damage is real.
Yeah.
That young woman who's only 28, 29, or 30.
She hates herself.
She has some true trauma.
She doesn't get her hair done. She washes it with Suave, and she needs her insurance.
I want you to stop. I will mute you, Nikki.
She doesn't have edges. Her edges are gone too.
We're not gonna do that. Renee, we're not gonna have melee. What I'm saying is,
she just stole her soul. She just stole her soul.
I just think it's not even about who her husband is, because I want you to love who you love. I'm international. Y'all know.
We know.
Where her edges.
But she has some deeper issues, and what's so sad is there's so many like her.
Yes. Yeah.
That's helping them still feel they can say what they want to say, because the ones like her are the ones like, I don't know why they feel that way, because she's the token. See, but the thing is, every token has its due. You got to put that thing somewhere sometimes. It got to go. And when it happens, she's going to be forgotten. Omarosa got forgotten.
Yes.
Get forgotten.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying that to somebody. I said she's trying to be the next Omarosa, and she doesn't realize she's just going to be forgotten. She's going to be used and forgotten.
Because let me tell you something. We are a people that you do not want to cross. I don't care who y'all think is in power or who running something. You don't cross. And I will end it on this, because I know it really bothers me, and it's going to be for a part 2. People who are brown, Hispanic, Black, or whatever, who feel you're different.
Yeah, Jesus.
No, you're not.
How are you different?
You are not.
Like, things have been happening, and I've been seeing social media posts, and I'm like, you think you different? Because the difference with you is you have been taken in by a set of people who are going to, you've been accepted. You are witnessing privilege. You don't have the same privilege. You've grown up as an athlete or a student around certain privileges, because they need to have that around them, because, you're the good one. You're the good one.
And on the backs of the civil rights movement, on the backs of the things that we fought for, you have other groups who actually benefit from that and don't recognize it at all. And, that's a whole, you got to have that discussion. It's a
whole other conversation.
That's right. Because they don't realize that they'll never be at the meeting before the meeting. When you realize that you're not invited to the meeting before the meeting, when that hard reality sets in, because there's a meeting before the meeting, and then there's a meeting after the meeting. And you're not invited to either one of those suites. No, you're not. And the funny thing is, the liberty they have with their tongue in front of those people,
and you never correct them, you have just now added to the problem.
Yep.
Because those same people forget where you come. I know what you look like.
Right.
I know what your last name is. Your last name it's not Smith. It's not Smith.
No.
Right.
But I'm like, right. That I almost don't. I've intentionally not watched a lot of things and don't even want to honor the conversation because boo, you're not even that.
It's okay. I can't.
Yeah, I don't watch Candace. I can't deal.
No, I
won't watch her until she gets a deep conditioner. I won't.
In the bed on y'all. I'm over here itching. It's past my bedtime.
Okay, stop it. I want to say thank you so much, you amazing, beautiful women, for doing this with me. We will have a part 2. We will not have Alicia because she can't stay up past 8.
You didn't already cut us off.
No, she better not. She's still there.
She's still on.
Anyway, I want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you. You're amazing. I love you all. I want to say thank you for your insight and your input and your willingness to speak freely. I love you, Alicia. I love you. I know you sleepy. I'm proud of you.
I'm rubbing your eyes.
I'm proud. And I just want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you. Please use your voice and your platform to keep all of this momentum going. And we'll have a part 2. Okay?
All right.
Thank you.